Let's be real for a second. The arrival of AI in the classroom has caused a lot of anxiety. But what if we could get past the fear of cheating and start seeing AI for what it could be? A powerful partner for critical thinking. Today, we're going to dive into a framework that helps us do exactly that.
This quote really it hits the nail on the head. AI isn't some sci-fi thing coming down the pike. Nope, it's here. It's in our schools, right now. So the real question becomes, are we as teachers and students gonna lead this change, or are we just gonna get swept along for the ride?
So, here's our game plan. First, we'll look at the new reality of AI in the classroom. Then, I'll introduce you to a structured framework for working with it. After that, we'll see it in action with a case study, dig into the unique strengths of human intelligence, and wrap it all up with a new golden rule for this AI era.
Okay, so large language models, LLMs, have officially landed in the classroom, and they can do some pretty incredible stuff. We're talking drafting essays, creating lesson plans, summarizing dense articles, all in seconds. This isn't science fiction anymore, it's just homework for a Tuesday.
And this brings us to the big, profound question we all have to face now. When a machine can spit out information that used to take us hours of research to find, well, what does that mean for learning? What's the point of education itself? It forces a total rethink. So, what's the answer? It's definitely not to just ban AI. The real move is to engage with it critically. And that's exactly where this AI-enhanced teaching model comes into play. It gives us a structured way to turn our interactions with AI into a genuine academic partnership. And take a look at this framework. It's seriously comprehensive. It's built to work across any subject, from arts and science all the way to engineering and medicine. But notice how it's broken down into 4 15-minute phases? That makes it a perfect, practical fit for a typical class period. Okay, let's break these phases down because the order here is what really sparks that critical thinking. It all starts with engage and provoke. This is where students learn to not just accept the AI's first answer, but to challenge it. Then they move to deepen and challenge, where they actually use the AI to help them find flaws in arguments. In phase 3, build and synthesize, they merge what the AI gave them with their own research. And finally, in reflect and lead, they take that creative leap to make something totally new, something truly original.
All right, that all sounds great in theory, but let's see how it actually works. We're going to use a case study from environmental science to show you how that very first phase, engage and provoke, can really build up those critical thinking muscles. So picture this. A student asks an AI, "Hey, why is there an algal bloom in the local lake?" The AI comes back with a very plausible, textbook-sounding answer. It's caused by nitrogen runoff from farms. Seems like a pretty good starting point, right?
But, and this is a huge but, here's what the AI, with its giant database of global information, completely missed. It didn't know about the local context. It missed the new housing development pumping phosphorus into the water. It didn't factor in the unusually warm spring, and it had no idea that a key species that eats algae had disappeared. This is such a perfect example of why human observation, that local knowledge, is still absolutely irreplaceable. So the key takeaway here isn't that the AI was wrong. It was just incomplete. It gave us the raw material, but it took a human with judgment, with curiosity, with local awareness to build a real scientific understanding of what was actually going on. And that case study leads us right into this super important topic, figuring out the division of labor between us and the machines. To work together well, we have to be crystal clear about what AI is good at, and maybe more importantly, where our human intelligence is still totally essential.
And the comparison is pretty clear. I mean, AI is an absolute beast at finding patterns in huge amounts of data, pulling it all together, and doing it faster than we can blink. But we humans, we bring something else to the table entirely: deep contextual understanding. ethical judgment, and those wild, unpredictable creative leaps that lead to real breakthroughs. Now, we also have to be very aware of AI's biggest flaws, like this thing called hallucination. This is where an AI, basically trying to be helpful, just makes stuff up. It can invent information, quotes, and even academic citations that look completely legit but are 100% fabricated. A brilliant way to teach this is with a simple classroom exercise. You just give students a text generated by an AI that has a fake citation buried in it, and you challenge them to go find the source. When they inevitably discover that it doesn't exist, bam! The lesson about research integrity and why you have to check your sources becomes something they'll never forget. It turns them from passive users into active, critical editors. And all of this is really pushing us toward a whole new kind of literacy for the 21st century. Think about it. In a world with infinite machine-generated text, the real skill isn't finding information anymore. The defining skill of an educated person is the ability to produce a truly original thought. So as we start to wrap up, what's the one big idea you should walk away with? Well, it all comes down to a new golden rule for how we should work with artificial intelligence. And here it is. This is the distinction you have to burn into your brain. The AI's job is to deliver information, fast and at a massive scale. Your job, the uniquely, wonderfully human role, is to provide the insight, the vision, and the judgment that transforms all that raw information into wisdom and real-world action. Ultimately, this whole framework leaves us with a really powerful question to chew on. As AI increasingly takes over the heavy lifting of gathering information, we are now challenged to completely redefine what it truly means to learn, to think, and to be an educated human being in this brand new world.